So when it comes to the job interview, guys, what if I told you that I could give you the superpower to read a hiring manager's mind and know whether or not she's going to hire you? It would make the whole process way easier, and if you're not going to get the job, at least you know right then and there. And you don't have to waste your time following up, or even worse, fantasizing about quitting your current job and then thinking how amazing this new job is going to be. Well, today I'm hooking you guys up with that superpower because I'm sharing 5 subtle signs that the interview isn't going well. Stay tuned. Hey guys, it's Brian back at you with another video where my goal is to help you guys create a career and life that you'll be proud of. And if you want more videos of job search tips or career growth insight from my experience behind company lines, then hit that subscribe button. So I must confess, I've been guilty of having to cut an interview short because of something the candidate said, did, or didn't do that totally sealed the deal for me. And I knew right then and there that this candidate just isn't the one. Yeah, I could pretend and go through the motions of the interview and keep the interview going, but guys, I respect your time as well as mine. Some managers, on the other hand, just take a more subtle approach and they actually continue the interview even though it's not going so well. In that, they reveal some subtle signs that you need to pick up on to know that the interview isn't going well. And the first one is the interviewer or the hiring manager actually repeats the question multiple times. And what's happening here is that the candidate just isn't answering the question in sufficient detail, or maybe the examples are just too generic, or maybe you're just not answering the question at all. And the result of that is that the manager is going to ask the question again. Sometimes they'll actually say, "Can you give me an example of that?" Or maybe what they'll do is they'll actually rephrase it, hoping that maybe you'll understand the question the second time around and give a better response. So for example, the question might be, tell me about a time when you had to learn a complex topic in a short amount of time. And because you couldn't answer it properly the first time, the question gets rephrased into, is there a specific situation or example where you had to learn something complicated really quickly? And this is a surefire sign that you're not answering the questions right, and in my perspective, you're not preparing for the interview properly. And number 2 subtle sign, and this is more of a body language cue, the hiring manager drops the pen or stops taking notes about you. You see, when I'm interviewing you, I take notes because I want to remember how our meeting went. I want to remember all the specific examples, motivations, accomplishments, as well as all the details that you went into about you that goes into a lot more specifics than what your resume says. So yeah, I'm going to write notes about you in my book or scribble it on the resume just so that I can review all of that stuff later on. But if I know that you're not the candidate, especially if you're not answering the questions well at all, or that you don't have the level of competency I'm looking for, I know right then and there that you're not the right fit. There's really no point for me to take more notes. Third sign that the interview isn't going well, the interview ends rather soon or rather abruptly. I know this might seem obvious, but there's a difference between a rushed interview and one that is just cut short almost immediately. I've actually had to do this when I realized the candidate's motivations for applying really wasn't what I was looking for. I've had candidates tell me that the reason why they're leaving their existing job or existing company is because they were entitled to more money or to promotion and they didn't get it. So as a result, they're looking for another place. Yeah, that's a strike, but I'm still going to give you the benefit of the doubt because I get it. We're all human. We all want money. We all want power or more responsibilities, and we want growth in our career. So what I'll do after that is I'll hit them with a question regarding their technical competency, right? I want to see if they actually know their stuff. And if they get that wrong and still think that they're so smart, at that point, I know that the candidate is not the right fit for the company. Fourth sign that the interview is not going well, and that is your answers are short. And as a result, there's really no conversation happening here, right? Just question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. You guys know how I feel about this, and that is the best interviews are those where you're actually having a real conversation with the hiring manager. I mean, yeah, it's fine for the manager to ask you all the interview questions, but the dynamic should feel more like a conversation. And if your answers are too simple, like a yes or no response, or maybe your examples lack a lot of detail, then as a hiring manager, I'm not really learning much about you. And if anything, you're showing me that you can't hold a normal conversation. And on top of that, I don't know much about your personality, and I really want to learn about you as a person. It's important to me that I can hire someone that can get along with others, and having a good conversation is so key to showing me that you can actually do that. So let me give you guys an example. Let's say I asked you, Have you ever had a situation where you had to deliver bad news to your boss? And if your response consisted of the word no and that was it, you're not telling me much. I mean, I get it. If you've never had to tell your boss bad news, I'm not expecting you guys to lie, but you have to give me a little bit more. You have to tell me how you would tell your boss bad news if you had to give it. Number 5 sign that the interview isn't going so well, and that is you're skipping questions. Yes, I've had candidates that struggled to answer interview questions. And when I say struggle, I mean they couldn't even come up with any response, like absolutely nothing. They just stare up into the air and try to think of a response or think of a situation and realize they just can't come up with anything, and they actually respond with the word pass. You guys know I'm all for preparing for the interview, and that means running through various scenarios in your work history so that you have it at the ready, fresh in your mind as to what the appropriate response to the interview question is going to be. Sometimes you're going to be caught off guard and you're going to have to think on your toes, and that's fine, but having no response whatsoever and moving on to the next question by saying pass, that is just not a good sign. The interview is your time for you to show off your personality, to seal the deal. I mean, they're so close to getting an offer. They like you, right? They brought you in for the interview. They liked what they saw on the resume. They liked what they saw on the cover letter or on the phone screening. So you're so close to the offer. You gotta stay strong all the way through and properly prepare for the interview so that you can make a strong impression, which, by the way, I have a playlist right here of more interview tips and tricks that I know you'll definitely want to check out. And remember, if you have a question that you want me to answer in a future video, let me know in the comment section down below, and you may find me answering your question in a future video just like this. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.